Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. Hope everybody's having a great week out there so far. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe down below, especially if you do love detailed weather breakdowns across North America. We do provide that to you folks on this channel, and do be sure to press the like button down below. It helps to get all this valuable information passed along to more and more people. Let's get into the weather forecast here, and we're going to be talking about our late December weather pattern and then eventually our winter update toward the end of this video. We'll be updating you on January, February, and March of 2024 and what's to come later this winter. So starting here with our low temperatures this morning that we are waking up to across the country and across southern Canada, lots of cold air with a cold front that did move through the Great Lakes region and into the mid-Atlantic over the past 24 to 48 hours. Did bring lots of wind. You probably noticed that as you had to hang on to your hats the last couple of days across the Midwest or the Ohio Valley. That is further off to the east, but these temperatures we woke up to this morning were into the upper teens across Wisconsin, parts of Iowa, Minnesota, Illinois, and even down here into Indiana. And it was pretty chilly with that freezing line all the way down into the southeast and the southern plains this morning as well. Let's look at those temperature anomalies from the morning. So we woke up to temperatures that are around 10, 15 degrees below normal for this time of year in the morning hours across the southeastern and eastern U.S. We do see the warmer anomalies out west, and that's a ridge of high pressure that is going to keep our temperatures warmer than normal, but that will slide east as we go over the next few days, and we'll show you that here in just a moment. Looking at our weather conditions for today, high pressure and firm control across the eastern two-thirds of the country. Our major storm system is on its way out of the northeast, so we're going to be drying out later on today with some lingering effects of that, with some snow showers up here into New York State in the northeast. Other than that, that will be peeling out later today. Across the west, this is our next major system that we're keeping an eye on. This is going to be producing some pretty heavy and drenching rains across the west coast here, coastal Washington, Oregon, and much of the Sacramento Valley back here into California. And this does include Southern California. So Los Angeles, the San Diego region, and even Sacramento seeing some very heavy rain as we go through today. So let's zoom out the weather pattern and kind of show you what's going on in the weather pattern overall. So we have that trough out here near the west coast, pretty strong trough. You can see the purples and pinks showing up there with those blue colors. That indicates a low pressure system and a trough. Now notice in the red shaded colors, that is a ridge of high pressure, and that's going to be sliding east. Notice this morning when we were mentioning that all the warmer air is across the Intermountain West and the Rockies. Well, as we go through today and really the next few days, that will be sliding further east and providing our central and eastern two-thirds a lot of the warmer and drier weather for the rest of the week. And there's our trough that's on its way out as we speak. As we go through late week, notice our ridge begins to start to amplify up into Canada, intensify as well. You can see those brighter oranges showing up there. That high pressure is really going to be in firm control across the east, but notice that low and that trough continuing to move further south and east, including much of coastal California, but notice Southern California in its sights as well as we go through later this week. So let's break down what we can see with our precipitation over the next 48 to 72 hours. For today, high pressure, like we mentioned, across the eastern two-thirds, some lingering snow showers up here across New England and the Northeast. This will not be that big of a deal, but just be watching out for some snow accumulations very quickly with some snow squalls up here across upstate New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire, and even Quebec as we go through today. Very dry across the middle of the country. Enjoy that. But we have another storm system with that trough out west, bringing some spotty rain, but also heavy rain where it is raining out west there, including the Sacramento Valley, higher elevations of the Sierras, of course, this time of year. We'll be seeing the snowfall. As we go into Wednesday, a little drier for a period across Washington State, Oregon, and Idaho, but we're definitely seeing that trough moving in towards central and southern California. Coastal California, Los Angeles there in particular, seeing some very heavy rain Wednesday night. Then as we go into Thursday, that energy will continue to kind of spiral its way in across Southern California into that Thursday time frame. So here's our rainfall accumulation in inches now through the end of the week. This goes through Friday, December 22nd. Notice the rainfall, very heavy out there to the west. And in particular, we're looking at California, where we're going to be seeing some very heavy rain. Notice the rest of the country, we're not really talking about much in the way of precipitation through the rest of the week because of that high pressure further east. So looking at our rainfall accumulation in inches again, now through Friday, December 22nd for California, zooming it in to show you how much rain we can expect here. Yeah, Los Angeles, San Diego, a couple to a few inches of rain. Coastal California getting at least 2 inches there in the red. Some higher amounts locally will be possible. Sacramento, Fresno, a lot of those areas will be getting a healthy dose of rain. And then as you go up in elevation, you're definitely going to see some snow. But with the rainfall out there, flash flood probability from today into your Wednesday time frame is marginal across northwestern California up there. Definitely seeing a potential for some flash flooding in isolated instances. Then as we go in from Wednesday into Thursday, the 20th and the 21st of the month here, we have a marginal risk near the coast, including Los Angeles, and then we have a slight risk of flash flooding just west of the city there of Los Angeles that we have to keep an eye on near the coast. That has more of the scattered instances of flash flooding possible in those areas, so we'll have to continue to watch that. Then, as we mentioned, this time of year, of course, it is going into the winter time as we start Thursday on winter solstice on the 21st. Notice our snowfall here across the Sierras. While it's not going to be record-breaking snow by any means, we're definitely seeing several inches of accumulation, possibly over a foot in some areas there. So definitely seeing a nice snowpack to be felt across that region. And if you are traveling across the Sierras or in the higher elevations of California there, including maybe parts of Northern California with some of those higher elevations, could be running into those moderate, major, and possibly even extreme impacts there with travel. So make sure you are watching that for the week. Then as we go into the weekend, Saturday into Sunday, Christmas Eve, into the 23rd, 24th time frame, that ridge that we're talking about out east is going to remain out east across Canada there into southeastern Canada, the Midwest, the Northeast, and really everywhere east of the Rockies. We're just going to see a lot of dry air preceding this system. Notice the trough. It starts to weaken a bit as it moves in onshore across California into the Four Corners region there in Nevada as well. But we still have that low pressure system down there across the Four Corners region. And what that will be doing is producing some very heavy snows out here. Further east, though, across Salt Lake City region into Utah, through much of the Colorado Rockies, northern parts of Arizona and New Mexico, seeing some very heavy snow out here, probably several inches of accumulation this weekend. Ahead of this, though, we have the warm air. Remember, with the high pressure system, we're going to be well above normal for several days. So a lot of this precipitation with this system coming in for Saturday, Sunday, on Christmas Eve will be in the form of rain and even thunderstorms for Texas here, in particular the Texas Panhandle, Northwest Texas, and getting into Oklahoma, and then further east from there. Then as we go into early next week, this system will be on the move, producing some rainfall further to the east. But again, we just don't have that freezing line dipping that far south, maybe getting in toward the Amarillo region. And then you can see that freezing line with that blue line going through portions of like Omaha, getting through the Rochester, Minnesota region, Green Bay. That's as far south as it gets early next week. So all of this precipitation across the east for the most part and the southeast will be in the form of liquid and rain. Then we have a bigger system we'll have to keep an eye on. Models have been trending towards a stronger sub 1,000, possibly a sub 995 millibar low, which in other terms means we have a strong low pressure system developing and a dynamic one. So we could have some cooling on the backside, more than some of these models show. Could be mixing in with some snow. While I don't think we're going to see a major snowstorm at this point, there is some potential to suspect that we could be seeing some rain-snow mix on the back end of this here, even though it shows all rain. Because of such a strong low-pressure system this time of year, you just cannot rule out some of that dynamic cooling on the backside of the system. Of course, we got the rainfall preceding that there. Maybe some freezing rain. We'll have to keep an eye on that up there into portions of the Northeast later next week. week. But again, plenty of time for that to change. But overall, just check this out, folks. Our rainfall accumulation in inches from Saturday the 23rd straight through Christmas through the end of the month here on Sunday, December 31st. Here's the rainfall that we could be seeing across the country here. And a lot of that will be falling more in those El Nino areas across the southern U.S. and the eastern U.S. So definitely seeing that in areas that really need the rain. Here's the latest drought monitor that was released last Thursday. Lots of areas still in drought here. Arizona, New Mexico especially, getting through Texas there. We've done a good job of getting rid of some of that drought in Texas, except for South Central Texas. We still need some work done there. And then up across portions of like Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, you name it. And then especially down here through Dixie Alley, we really need that rainfall. And we look to get it as we get toward the end of December. So that is certainly some great news, and we'll do a lot of work on improving that drought. Now let's talk temperatures for late December. So from Christmas Eve on Sunday the 24th through Thursday the 28th, virtually through the rest of December, above normal temperatures will be favored for the east and really centered up there to the Midwestern regions, folks. I mean, it's going to be well above normal for this time of year. And looking across the Four Corners region, normal to below normal, because we have that trough coming in as we go in toward this weekend. And then looking all the way through the rest of the month, through the 1st of January, yeah, this is a very El Nino look. You have more of the warmer temperatures to the north, above average, and then you have more of the near normal and below average temperatures further south, including the Rio Grande Valley back here below normal, and southern Florida below normal, and the Florida Keys, Miami, the Daytona Beach region. So definitely seeing that as we close out the month. Let's look at those high temperatures for Sunday, Christmas Eve on the 24th. Notice areas east of the Rockies will be well above freezing. We're seeing that 40-degree line go all the way up into Ontario and Quebec. 50 degrees is very possible for Indianapolis, Chicago, the St. Louis region, Des Moines, Kansas City, you name it, and even 60s further south from there on Christmas Eve. So one of the warmest Christmas Eves we've seen east of the Rockies in quite some time. And looking at high temperatures Monday on Christmas Day, yeah, this is probably one of the warmest Christmas days we have had in quite some time, folks. We're seeing 52 degrees there in Chicago, 60 there, 59, 60 degrees in St. Louis, and into the 60s, 62 in Little Rock, 65 perhaps there in Memphis, 67 down there into Jackson, Mississippi, and even possibly cracking 70 down there into Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So this is going to be quite a warm and unusual Christmas time frame for temperatures east of the Rockies, that is for sure. And then we extend that further after Christmas as you're heading home from any of those festivities and holidays out there, from Christmas parties and anything you have. You can see Tuesday, we're going to be still warm across the eastern United States, but we cool off a little bit because that major storm system comes through. We're going to be seeing a cool down with a cold front, and then we'll get back to near normal with our temperatures as we get toward Thursday late in the month on the 28th. Now, we've been talking about this for quite some time. This is our winter update, and you can see that El Nino is not going anywhere anytime soon. Our warm waters are definitely alive and prevalent across the central Pacific Ocean, and you can see that our positive territory means we're in El Nino. So the positive value is El Nino, 0 is neutral, ENSO neutral, and then negative values are La Nina. Notice we're firmly in control of El Nino here, and that goes all the way back to the middle and end of fall, and we really haven't fallen much below that strong El Nino status. What you need for a strong El Nino is plus 1.5, and we've been hovering around that really ever since around October, November timeframe, and we actually jumped above that for a time as we got toward late November, toward Thanksgiving. So looking at this, going through the rest of winter, red is El Nino here, and then you see the grays, which is ENSO neutral, and then the blues La Nina. We're going to continue to see El Nino at least for the next several months through at least February, March, before we start to trend back toward an ENSO neutral pattern for middle of spring there toward May and June. So definitely seeing that moving forward. So El Nino will continue through the rest of the winter of 2023 and 24. And looking at our seasonal snowfall accumulation to date across the United States, this is since September 30th of 2023. Notice our snowpack across the Rockies has definitely not been lacking. We've seen a lot of heavy snow out there. We've seen a decent amount of snow across North Dakota there, and even parts of interior New England from Maine back through Vermont, New Hampshire, upstate New York, and near those areas there in the Great Lakes. But further south, kind of unusual across the Ohio Valley, the Midwest, even the upper Midwest, seeing a lack of snowfall for this time of year so far. The I-95 corridor as well, New York City, Long Island, Boston. We really haven't seen much, if any, snow so far to this point. So what is happening? Why are we seeing a lack in snowfall further south? Here's our snow and ice cover currently across North America. And notice areas in the white, that's where we have the snow cover currently. We don't have much of it across the northern U.S., and we really have a lot of it across the Rockies. But notice in Canada, there are some holes here where we don't have a lot of snowpack, like Alberta here, eastern British Columbia, even parts of Saskatchewan. We don't have any snow on the ground, or not much at all. So that's really concerning for just looking at the snow further south. You have to have snow in Canada to get the cold air to move further south. And we just have areas in Canada where we just don't have that snowpack right now. So we're kind of late to the party here, and kind of looking ahead to January. What does January bring? So here's our 500 millibar height anomaly. You can see we have high pressure in the orange, and then we have low pressures in the blue. So you can see that we have more troughs coming in off the west coast and into portions of California, into portions of Oregon and Nevada as we go into January. But that high pressure over the top and more of the El Nino look will continue across the upper Midwest, the northern tier there, and into Canada as we go into January. And notice we have that split flow like we usually see with El Nino. The polar jet more inactive further to the north, and that Pacific jet pumping in all that moisture that we've been seeing across the south during El Nino will continue and will strengthen a little bit as we go into January. Notice here's our temperature anomalies across the United States and North America for January of 2024. We have above normal temperatures favored really across the west, but don't let that fool you. Just because you see orange on here does not mean our temperatures won't get to 20 degrees for high temperatures some days, other days possibly getting into the 40s. There will be days where it will be warm, and there will be days where it will be cold. It's just how it works here in the weather department. And you can see across the southeast, near normal and below normal temperatures are favored as we go into January overall when you average all 31 days out. Now let's look at the precipitation anomaly and correlate that. Remember, the lower the pressure out west means we're going to be seeing more precipitation across the west coast as we go into January overall. Yes, there will be dry days, but overall, when you average out 31 days of January, it will be wetter than not across the western United States. We will be near normal in the middle of the country, a little dry slot there across the lower Ohio River Valley, the Tennessee Valley, and parts of the mid-Atlantic there, and up toward the I-95 corridor. So that continues through January, and the big reason for that, folks, is that high pressure ridge across Canada blocking a lot of that polar jet flow that we usually see with a lot of that cold air coming down and a lot of those bigger storm systems, Clipper systems. We just don't see them through January. So that means the Pacific jet stream will begin to become more dominant the deeper we get in toward winter, and that means more of Florida, the Gulf Coast, the Southeast Coast will start to see more rainfall and possibly even snowfall further to the south. Now as we go into February, notice we start to lower the pressure even more, and we kind of nudge that high pressure a little further north. We see a big spike up here into Alaska. That's what we like to see for big snowstorm potential for the Northeast. And looking at that, look at that polar jet spiking all the way up there into Alaska and Northwest Canada, and then that Pacific jet becoming very dominant across the south central U.S. there. That will again bring above normal temperatures, but we will start to see a signal here across the east of near normal to below normal temperatures and above normal precipitation for February. So what this means is that nor'easter potential that we've been waiting on so far this season will start to become alive and prevalent as we go deeper into February, probably toward the middle and end of the month there, and definitely seeing that across the east, whereas the Midwestern regions, the Ohio Valley, and to some extent some of the plain states will be drying out. Even the Pacific Northwest will be drying out because that subtropical jet will become more organized. So California will see above average rains, Nevada and the Four Corners region as we go into February. So, and then finally into March, that's when the subtropical jet will maximize before El Nino starts to weaken overall, and that Pacific jet will be most noticeable there into March. And you can see that with more of those near normal to below normal temperatures out east and across the south, more above normal, typical El Nino look across the north and across portions of Canada. And here's the signal for precipitation. Now, March is several months out. Things can change a little bit, but the signal has been here that we're going to have more of that southern jet stream, more dominant with more stronger storm systems further south, less storm system frequency and less bigger storms to the north, and then that El Nino look where we have that nor'easter trek up the east coast, and that could put some heavier snows across portions of the east coast, the I-95 corridor, and New England as we go into March. So overall, here's the big snowstorm confidence that we have the rest of winter of 2023 and 24. My confidence in the lighter blue color is low right now, and that includes portions of the entire United States for the most part, except for the Rio Grande Valley and South Central Florida, where we just don't really see that much snow, or if any, really at all. Then as you go into the medium blue color there, you notice that we have more medium confidence, where we could have those bigger snowstorms, 6, 8+ inches in those areas. And then the pink shaded color where we have high confidence, where that will track and set up is across the central and southern plains, possibly starting out here in Kansas and Oklahoma, and then moving up through portions of the Missouri and Illinois Valley, the Ohio River Valley there, the southern Great Lakes, and then into interior New England. Not to say that the I-95 corridor could miss out, but definitely a lot higher confidence further north and west of the I-95 corridor as we go deeper into the winter because of those El Nino impacts. So hopefully this video helped you with the details of what's to come for the rest of winter of 2023 and 24 with an update. Make sure to subscribe to the channel down below if you do like these detailed weather breakdowns. Obviously, I will be doing more of those moving forward. Press the like button down below if you like today's weather forecast. Share this video with friends, family, and on social media, and I hope everybody has a great rest of their week out there.